Okay, in this case here we've got a Cowboy Cb4500 and it's been changed over to a narrow needle plate with a feed dog to suit the narrow needle plate, which gives improvements in stitching things when you want to get close to the edge and have your guide up closer than what you can otherwise get. In this case here, quite a few people have mentioned some rubbing with the feed dog to the needle plate. There's a very close tolerance there, which sometimes some machines will need a little bit of adjusting to get everything perfectly set up right. In particular, where the needle comes in relationship to the feed dog. In this case here I've got a size 27 needle in, which is at the bigger end of things there, and we need to be sure that the feed dog is locating nicely in the middle of that feed dog. Sometimes if the feed dog's in the wrong place, the needle will be rubbing on that feed dog. So with the help of my friend here, he'll video me as I go through a few steps to be looking for as we do it. Okay, Martin, you can take that over. Now I'll start off with checking that the feed dog in there. I have found in one case where on the back of the feed dog, this is, oh no, got it in my pocket. With the feed dog, if there's anything that gets stuck in here when you put the feed dog into the place where it goes, it will make it sit easily crooked, which will throw everything out of place. So it's very important that you check that everything's clean there when you put it in place. Also, it could happen that if it's come loose, you'll then get a similar problem. It'll move around as you're sewing there. So in order to check, the very first thing I'd recommend is checking that that's tight. Now you don't have to take everything off, as you may see sometimes people do. You can get away with just bringing, now let's see if I get this right. Okay, you don't generally have to worry about that hitting. In here you'll see that screw, and I do recommend that you get a very good fitting screwdriver to check it. Now this screw I'm talking about is this one here. That's where you can adjust the feed dog up in height or lower in height. It's on a bit of a slot setup, but that'll be the first thing I'll just show you, is feel in here and make sure that it's extra tight, and that's step one. In this case here it's nice and tight, so we don't have to worry about that. Now I've loosened everything up here just to make it a bit quicker to get to. One of the first things in getting these adjustments right is being sure that the needle's going to go down inside the feed dog hole as it should, in the middle. I do recommend using a large needle for this. In this case I've got a size 27 in place. Alright, whoop. Try not to drop the screws. They're odd threads and not always easy to replace at your local hardware. In this case here you don't actually have to take this needle plate off, but I will to make it easier to see everything that I'm talking about, and you can get a clearer idea of these adjustments. So that's the needle plate off. Now I've loosened these up a little bit as well. Those two screws, alright, I'll loosen one out a fair way just so that you can see. They're on a slot set up underneath as well. If we can get up high enough there, I'll just move that light. you see there's quite a large hole there. I'll grab a needle. In this case it's that little hole there. You see all that there, how the feed dog moves back and forward with that. Now when I bring the needle down, get that thread out of the way. Unsuccessful. Right. I'll bring the needle down in there and we say, okay, we've got that much range of play there that we have on that needle. We want to go somewhere in the middle of that. But with this one, you see there's still a fair bit of play. Now this is one of the reasons, if we can get down in there, Martin. Is it focusing? Yeah. Why it's important that you get oil in here. You'll notice that as this moves, that there's actually movement has to happen in there as well, and that's why it's important that you put a drop of oil down there every now and again to stop that from getting sloppier as it wears out. Now in this case here, I'll bring that needle back down again into the center of the plate, and we're looking for that in the center. I'll move this back until I've taken out any play there. I don't want to get it too tight and move it, as you see, then it would rub on the needle. I want that to be just clear of the needle. Right. I'll move that all again so you can clearly see. Lots of room there. Okay, take the play out, and at that point there, I'll do it up. You want to do these up reasonably firmly, but once again they're unusual threads, so don't overdo them. Okay, I'll tighten that up better now with this setup. Right. Okay, and we'll double check and see what clearance we got on the needle there. Comes down. If you notice, the needle deflects a little bit there, and that's because at the moment it's just touching the hook, but that should be barely noticeable. Okay, so that looks like we've got good clearance there. So that's the main part that I wanted to show you there with this setting up, to make sure that that part there is free. Now what we have to do is we put the needle plate back, and you'll see in here as I go, get the two right screws, there's a little bit of room for back and right, left and right movement, and you have to get that needle plate now after that so that it is clearing the feed dog. And in that you also need to be sure, I lost the little screwdriver, we have to be sure that we're not going down on an angle, so I'll lightly tighten front and back. Sometimes a person's problem may be that they've got a bit of angle going on there. So here I've got the feed dog up, and I'll just loosen it a smidgen so I can move it so you can see. Right, see how what I'm talking about, there's all this room for play and stuff. We want to get that so that it's not touching the sides of the feed dog. Also, we double check before we tighten everything up any further that the feed dog's able to go through the length of travel. and if we just check here, it would be wise to open so we've got here the wider range of travel. I'm going to take that right all the way out. Okay, so all the way through that travel you shouldn't see any touching of the feed dog to the needle plate. Okay, that looks pretty good to me, so I'll tighten that up. Might look different on camera, I don't know yet. Right. Okay, once again, don't overdo the tightening. You only need it tight enough for it not to move, and it doesn't need to be extra tight. Okay, so that's it. Following that, we should only need to put the cover back on, and you'll notice that there's in the back of the needle plate a little hole there, and that is a hole to put some down, and I don't mind putting a little bit down the back here as well. If you have a look there on these needle plates, unlike some, we shorten it a little bit to make sure that oil can get down the back there easily. Okay. Some screws. This would be one of those parts where I've got to speed the film up, I think. Okay. And we'll do a check in a moment. Bring that around, open, get the thread in there. Right, feels okay. Okay. Drop the foot down. Oh, where is it? Okay. Thread we'll bring to the top. Put our plate back on the front so we don't get our fingers or leather or anything caught in there. And we'll try this bit of leather here and see how it goes. Remember, of course, if you're not used to it, to hold the thread when you first get started. And of course, I forgot to mention, if you have a look here, Martin, be sure that the machine's turned off before you do any of that, what I was just doing. I should have said that right at the start. Okay, in this case we're up and away, ready to go, and we're on a way open wide stitch, of course, so bring that back down to something more reasonable. Righty up. Let me put pressure down here. Whoa. What have I done? I didn't hold the thread right to start. I think I've just mucked all of that up. No, what happened? Oh, don't tell me that thread went down there. Oh, you're kidding. I think I might have had the bobbin in the other way last time. That tension feels really tight. Okay. Down, yep. Take care of the tensions looking out. Okay. That's with 277 thread, I think. Off the top of my head. Haven't got enough foot pressure down as I should have for this thickness and hard leather. It's very hard leather. Okay, that's the end of the demo.